The facade has finally cracked wide open, and this time, the humiliation is impossible to hide. On January 23rd, in the shadow of Rome's ancient Basilica Santa Maria degli Angeli e dei Martiri, the fashion world gathered in profound, tearful reverence. They were there to bid farewell to a legend, the irreplaceable Valentino Garavani. But while the true icons of the industry mourned, Meghan Markle attempted her boldest, most desperate intrusion yet. She arrived uninvited, but she didn't just show up. She arrived with a substantial camera crew, professional lighting equipment, and handlers, a full production setup designed for one-thing content. But what happened next was a scene that unfolded swiftly and without mercy. Security didn't negotiate. They didn't politely redirect her. They intercepted her at the threshold, and the rejection was absolute. The world now sees the full extent of the desperation, and what happened on those steps in Rome wasn't just a snub. It was the end of an era for her brand. To understand the sheer magnitude of this embarrassment, we have to look at the atmosphere she tried to hijack. This wasn't a red carpet. This was a moment of genuine heavy mourning. Inside the basilica, the mood was somber. Icons like Anne Hathaway were visibly breaking down in tears. Donatella Versace and Tom Ford cut somber, respectful figures honoring a man who defined elegance for decades. Yet, outside the scene was radically different. Sources close to the event's tight-knit organization confirmed that Meghan and her entourage were met immediately at the doors. This wasn't a clerical oversight. It wasn't a mix-up with the guest list. It was a deliberate blockage. You simply do not arrive at a legend's funeral with cameras rolling unless your priority is headlines, photo ops, and rebranding rather than heartfelt homage. The security team, fully aware of the strict protocols, escorted her out before she could even cross into the sacred space. Imagine the sting of that moment. Turned away at the very doors you tried to force open, while the cameras you brought to capture your glory instead capture your rejection. While true icons honored a legacy inside, Meghan was left on the pavement with nothing but the cold realization that she is no longer welcome. But to truly grasp why this happened and why the reaction was so aggressive, we have to rewind to the frantic days leading up to the funeral. Following Valentino's passing on January 19th at the age of 93, the fashion world went into a state of collective mourning. The legendary designer lay in state in Rome's Piazza Mignonelli, drawing throngs of respectful fans. The funeral promised to be an unparalleled convergence of power players. We are talking about the absolute elite: Anna Wintour, Elizabeth Hurley, the people who shaped the culture. Meghan, ever the opportunist, viewed this not as a tragedy, but as prime networking real estate. Insiders reveal she launched a quiet but relentless campaign to secure a seat. She reached out through every conceivable channel: mutual acquaintances, former stylists, anyone with even a tenuous tie to Valentino's inner circle. She positioned her pursuit as sincere admiration, citing the times she had worn his designs. She reminded everyone of the striking red caplet she wore during the 2019 Morocco Royal Tour. She brought up the white floral applique mini dress from Global Citizen Live in 2021 and the dramatic oversized white pantsuit at the 2022 Invictus Games. But here is the reality that she refused to accept: wearing the clothes does not make you a friend. Meghan never attended his runway shows during his active years. There was no direct professional collaboration. This wasn't organic grief. It was strategic maneuvering. When the coveted invitation never materialized, despite her very deliberate efforts, she refused to accept the silence. Instead of retreating with dignity, she escalated. She traveled to Rome anyway, crew in tow, betting that her presence would force their hand. The push failed spectacularly. There was no seat among the elite, no moment in the spotlight, only the cold confirmation that fashion's guarded inner sanctum has zero tolerance for forced entry. But that wasn't the whole story. What made this incident cross the line from audacious to outright unforgivable was the way she arrived. She didn't approach the basilica discreetly. Eyewitness accounts paint a vivid picture of a large film crew trailing her, multiple professional cameras, lighting assistants, and sound gear. This was the same apparatus she deploys for her polished Netflix specials and lifestyle brand promotions. The objective was transparent, and crass capture staged footage on the historic steps secure solemn yet glamorous shots amid the mourning crowds and spin the appearance into social media gold. Think about the narrative she intended to craft. Captions evoking deep respect. Legacy nods to Valentino, positioning herself as a grieving insider. But a funeral is sacred ground, not a content farm. Inside, the sorrow was real. The industry was mourning its last emperor. It demanded reverence, not production value. Event organizers who were already handling overflow crowds recognized the intrusion instantly. The ejection was firm, immediate, and non-negotiable. This wasn't about gatekeeping. It was about safeguarding a solemn farewell from someone intent on commodifying grief. By bringing a media machine to a space meant for private reflection, she didn't just breach etiquette, she insulted the very legacy she claimed to honor. The doors closed, the crew departed empty-handed, and the story shifted from potential triumph to documented rejection. This wasn't an isolated slip, though. If you've been paying attention, you know that Meghan's history is littered with these bold, uncomfortable moves. It is a relentless pattern of forcing her way into spaces where she isn't wanted. Remember her self-invitation to Balenciaga's Paris Fashion Week show in 2025. Even the creative director Demna publicly noted in interviews how she twisted connections to secure a front-row seat despite not being on the original guest list. Sources told Vanity Fair at the time that her team bombarded organizers with calls framing it as a mutual admiration opportunity, but insiders called it what it was: pure opportunism. This echoes her time on Suits, where co-stars like Abigail Spencer later revealed how Meghan worked aggressively at industry events, often showing up unannounced to mingle with producers, always with an eye on the next big break. During her royal days, the pattern intensified. She insisted on wearing that red Valentino caplet in Morocco, not just for style, but to generate buzzworthy photos that blurred the line between royal duty and personal branding. Fast forward to the 2022 Invictus Games, and there she was in that oversized white Valentino pantsuit, posing for shots that critics lambasted as being more about her image than the veterans she was supposed to be supporting. And let's not forget the 2021 Global Citizen Live event, another calculated choice to align herself with global icons while wearing the designer. But as her star dims, these tactics are growing more desperate. The Valentino funeral was supposed to be the moment that turned the tide, a moment too solemn for games. Yet the same playbook emerged: lobby discreetly via back channels, then arrive with cameras when the invite fails. Why is she doing this now? The answer lies in the numbers, and they are catastrophic. Archwell's funding woes were exposed in 2025, with IRS filings showing a drop from $9 million to under $2 million. That is a financial freefall. On top of that, staff turnover has hit a record 18 departures in just 5 years, as reported by Fox News. She's clinging to any remnant of relevance because the empire is crumbling from the inside out. But the ejection from Valentino's funeral couldn't have come at a worse time. Her media ventures are hitting rock bottom. Netflix ratings for her projects have plummeted into obscurity. The series With Love, Meghan, Season 1 scraped just 5.3 million views in the first half of 2025, landing at a dismal 389th place according to Netflix's own engagement report. Season 2 fared even worse, notching only 2 million views since its release in August 2025, with barely 9.7 million hours viewed. It barely registered amid the streamer's top content. And the holiday special released in December 2025, it managed a paltry 2.4 million views, failing to crack the top 1,000 globally. Critics at the Mirror called it dismal. Sources told Page 6 that Netflix has no plans for a Season 3, with insiders whispering that the door is firmly shut on future deals. Her lifestyle ventures are doing no better. American Riviera Orchard is struggling to find footing. Jam jars are sitting unsold, and the search for a CEO is dragging on as executives balk at associating with what The Telegraph dubbed a flop empire. In this vacuum of success, every public appearance becomes desperate oxygen. She needed the Valentino funeral to reinsert herself into the narrative as the elegant Duchess paying tribute. Notice the silence from her former allies. Oprah has issued no public support since the fallout from the 2021 interview. A-listers like George Clooney have distanced themselves with no joint appearances since 2023. And remember, the Kardashian snub Kim and Kris Jenner quietly deleted photos of Meghan and Harry from Kris's 70th birthday bash in 2025. That was a massive signal. When the Kardashians who thrive on publicity delete you from their feed, your cash is gone. Public polls reflect this damage. Her favorability ratings in the US are sitting at just 22% down from 45% in 2022. Accusations of insincerity and high-maintenance behavior have taken their toll. Experts at Fox News called the staff turnover pattern abnormal, noting the exit of key PR advisors, which led her to rehire a crisis communications firm just days ago. So when she arrived at the funeral, the reaction wasn't just about protocol, it was about reputation. The ejection became the story amplified on X, formerly Twitter, where posts mocked her desperate pushing for an invite. Insiders whispered that the damage is profound. One source close to the fashion world revealed she wanted to be seen honoring Valentino, but what she delivered was crass opportunism at a time when people are mourning. The optics are devastating. A woman already accused of blurring the lines between charity and self-promotion just proved the critics right on a global display. Royal commentators like Kinsey Schofield blasted her Paris Fashion Week antics as inauthentic, and this latest stunt has further eroded trust. The reaction from those inside the basilica spoke volumes. No one rushed to defend her. No one issued sympathetic statements. Contrast this with how true icons and royals handled the legacy. Sweden's Princess Madeleine, who wore a Valentino design for her 2013 wedding, posted a heartfelt Instagram tribute mourning the dream creator without a hint of self-promotion. Even Kate Middleton, often in Valentino-inspired pieces, maintained a low-key admiration. They understood that the day was about him, not them. But for Meghan, her history of wearing the brand feels more like trophy hunting than true fandom. The chestnut brown blazer, the long coat, the studded pants, fashion blogs like Meghan's Mirror have critiqued these choices as calculated. British royalty fans piled on with posts calling her push for an invite shameless, garnering thousands of likes. Insiders from Valentino's foundation emphasized that the funeral's focus was on his 93 years of innovation, not celebrity gatecrashing. This toxicity echoes broader rejections. Balenciaga's Demna subtly shaded her in interviews for overeagerness. The rumor about unpaid Chanel debts that circulated wildly on Reddit, even if debunked, shows the level of scrutiny she is under. The ejection from the funeral cements her outsider status. In Tinseltown and couture circles alike, the rule is clear: authenticity over ambition. Meghan's intrusion proved she has mastered the latter, but lost the former forever. From Windsor to Montecito, the message echoes louder than ever. Prince William, watching from afar amid his own duties, understands what Meghan refuses to accept. Genuine respect cannot be staged or scripted. The monarchy endures because it prioritizes duty over display, a lesson etched in centuries of tradition. Meghan's American reinvention was built on the opposite: branding, visibility, and constant content creation. And the cracks in that reinvention are spreading far beyond just bad press. They are hitting the bottom line. Let's look closer at the American Riviera orchard disaster, because the funeral stunt was likely a frantic attempt to save it. Reports from early 2026 paint a picture of a ghost brand. We aren't just talking about slow sales. We are talking about operational paralysis. Sources indicate that thousands of units of product, those infamous jam jars and home goods, are reportedly sitting in logistics limbo, gathering dust. Why? Because without a CEO to steer the ship, the brand is rudderless. Executives are reportedly fleeing the interview process the moment they see the books, terrified of attaching their professional reputations to what the Telegraph has already labeled a flop empire. Back home in Montecito, the silence is even louder. The freeze-out from the local elite is no longer a rumor. It's the new status quo. The invitations to the A-list private dinners, the charity galas where the real deals are made, those have dried up. You have to understand, Montecito is a small village. When the neighbors' people like Oprah and the Clooneys stop calling, it's not just socially awkward. It's a career death sentence in Hollywood. They see the desperation that was on display in Rome, and they recoil. High society protects its own. And right now, Meghan is viewed as a liability, a loose cannon who might bring a camera crew to your private event just to get a usable clip for Netflix. And where is Prince Harry in all of this? The separate lives narrative is gaining traction for a reason. While Meghan was orchestrating her arrival in Rome, Harry was notably absent from her side, reportedly focused on his own independent philanthropic ventures. The joint brand of Harry and Meghan is dissolving before our eyes. He seems to be retreating into the background as her antics become more aggressive. It raises the ultimate question: how long can he stand by while his wife burns bridges with the very institutions and circles he grew up in? The Rome incident wasn't just an embarrassment for Meghan. It was a reminder to Harry of everything he has lost: the dignity, the protocol, and the respect that comes from duty, not just visibility. But when the cameras capture rejection instead of triumph, the illusion shatters completely. This funeral fiasco is a microcosm of her current reality. The harder she pushes for relevance, the further it slips away. Hollywood sees it, fashion sees it, the public sees it, and deep down, she must see it too. The crew didn't get their footage. The brand didn't get its boost. All that remains is the sting of being turned away when it mattered most. Look at the evidence piling up. Recent reports from early 2026 highlight a reputation in tatters. Insiders warn that her lifestyle brand won't survive past 2026 without massive changes, as marketing experts label it a goop copycat, doomed by a lack of authenticity. Staff turnover has raised red flags, with 11 PR leads gone in 5 years. Accusations of lying about personal posts have fueled fake backlash. The irony bites hard. While genuine royals like King Charles focus on duty, celebrating his 77th birthday in 2025 with cancer recovery speeches, Meghan's moves scream self-promotion. Her history of protocol breaches, from announcing pregnancies at others' weddings to rehiring crisis PR firms, paints a portrait of entitlement. Legal experts warn her visa status could even face scrutiny if Archwell's issues escalate. The life lesson is brutal hustle without heart leads to isolation. As insiders told AOL, her brand survival demands change, but history suggests otherwise. Harry, reportedly in separate living arrangements, watches from afar. The forensic peel of their life continues. The walls are closing in, and no amount of PR can rebuild what is crumbling. As the basilica emptied and Rome mourned its icon in quiet dignity, Meghan retreated, camera crew in tow. Her story twisted into yet another headline she didn't control. The lie of effortless belonging has been exposed again. In an age obsessed with image, she chased one more photo op at the worst possible moment, and the world said no. Now the question hangs over Montecito. Will this be the humiliation that forces reflection, or just another chapter in the endless, exhausting pursuit of the spotlight? The evidence is clear. Old habits die hard, but doors slammed shut don't reopen easily. Valentino's legacy will endure in elegance and grace. Meghan's latest stunt will be remembered for something far less flattering. What do you think? Has Meghan finally crossed a line too far? Or will she try to spin this into another victim narrative? Drop your city and country below and tell us, should she face permanent exclusion from these circles, or does she deserve one more chance? Hit like if you value dignity over drama, and subscribe for the updates as this saga unfolds. The truth always surfaces.